Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final Total Training Employees Lounge webinar for 2013. And I've got the wrong file up. Good grief. Hold on one second. Let me unmute you, see if you have any questions. All right. I'm going to unmute everybody. Do me a favor and keep yourself muted until you have a question, just so we don't get a lot of background noise. Let me see if I grabbed the wrong file. No, I didn't grab the wrong file. Okay, just says the wrong date in the front. Anyway, so let's get started. We've got some more people signing in, but I want to get us started and see what we got to get covered. All right. So hopefully all of you have already seen this sales tip that was sent out to the store beginning of the month. And I want to go over it with you, see if you have any questions. Those of you who have been in the program for, well, can everybody mute themselves? I'm getting a lot of background noise. Or if you're on a phone, just hold your hand over the mouthpiece if possible. So what I'm starting to say is, those of you who have been in the program for a while know that every month we send a tip with some kind of new skill, new technique, new perspective. I decided to take a step back for the month of December based on my knowledge of what typically happens in a flower shop, and that is, as the days go by and the volume of customers increases, there's a tendency to kind of get sloppy. We can kind of cut corners, try to do things that we think are saving time, but really end up kind of hurting us in the long run. So there are three areas that I would like everyone to stay focused on over the coming weeks as we build up to Christmas. Number one, this is so very important, is the idea of getting email addresses on every person that calls. And just because somebody sounds like they're ancient, don't assume that they're not going to have email. Also, what I want you to do is, whether somebody sounds like they're in a hurry, whatever excuse you might normally make for not capturing an email address, just ignore that. Ask that from every customer. For a couple of reasons. By capturing an email address, they're going to get a copy of the order. So if you've made a mistake, that's going to show up hopefully before it gets sent out. Also, by giving them or using their email address to send delivery confirmation, as I said on the screen, it really just cuts down on those calls that start coming into the store about this time of day, wondering, was my arrangement delivered, was it not delivered? So capturing an email address is important, and use the language that I gave you there. Oops, sorry about that. Let's see. Pardon me. Don't use it as a yes/no question. So don't ask them, do you want to share your email address? Instead, tell them why you need it. So the approach that I use with great success is to very nonchalantly just ask them, oh, by the way, which email address should I use to send you a copy of the order? Or which email address should I use to send you delivery confirmation? And without hesitation, customers will just give you that email address. They'll just smoothly, rhythmically roll into giving you that information. And beyond the benefits today, what really happens is that it enables the store to build up a database so we can market to these people. So it is critical that you're capturing email addresses. The second area where I want you to focus with the holiday rush is the idea of selling or offering a finishing touch to every single customer. There's always an exception. Somebody who tells you, we took up a collection, we only have $83. That's an exception. Somebody who is maybe giving you a really hard time about price through the whole sale. Somebody who's starting off by asking how much you charge for delivery and then making a big scene about that. Somebody who's complaining, oh my gosh, I can get these poinsettias cheaper at Home Depot. That's the exception where I too would opt out of offering it. However, pardon me, for every other customer, you really need to focus on offering the finishing touch. And I've been in I've been in your stores. I know what's available. There's candy, like I have on the screen. There's the option for embellishing their poinsettias, whether you're selling ribbons or it's going to be branches with sparkly elements or whatever it is. There's lots of opportunity to give them additional items to buy. So make sure it becomes part of your rhythm. My psychology on this is simply that at Christmas, you have people who are literally sending this as their gift because they're not going to see their loved one. And they welcome the opportunity to spend more, to personalize it, to embellish it. So give them the chance to do so. And finally, what I want you to really make a priority is being as accurate as possible. When I see people rush through an order, inevitably they get through the order quicker, but it's loaded with mistakes. So even when the customer's talking to you at 1,000 miles an hour, you still got to try to wind them down and slow them down, because by you cutting corners to save time, what really happens is you end up taking an inaccurate order that then results in a complaint, or it becomes a replacement, or it becomes a refund, or it becomes all of the above, and that's avoidable. So I know in some stores the issue will be that you've got to wait to get your chance to process a credit card, or you've got to wait to get in front of a computer. Don't scribble the order on paper. Tell the customer, bear with me 1 second, I'm waiting to get in front of the computer. I want to make sure I have your order accurate. I want to make sure I have all of the important details. You'll run into people who won't have a delivery address, and it's annoying. It drives me up a wall, but it's part of our job. When they say, "Oh, she works at the blah 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 store in the mall, or she works in that blue building on the corner," tell them, just bear with me a second. I need to get a precise delivery address, so I'm going to Google it. I'm going to research it. Slow them down. It's better to take an extra 10 seconds and take an accurate order than to rush through an order that has mistakes, because people are very unforgiving when it comes to holiday orders. They'll find out after the fact. They'll go and visit their mom after Christmas, so they'll hear about it at some further point about the mistakes that were made, and then they get pretty upset. So do your best to make sure you avoid that. So these are the three areas that I want everybody to focus on. If you haven't seen this already, ask the manager, ask the owner, ask somebody in charge to get a copy printed and focus on these three areas, and it will definitely have a big impact on the holiday. So I'm sorry. I guess like most of the country, I've got a bad cold. Let me take a moment to step back. I'm going to make sure everybody is unmuted. I want to see if you have questions, you have issues, you have a customer that you've dealt with recently that you found very frustrating. There's a situation that's come up in your store that you just wish you had a better mindset or better verbiage to get through it. Maybe I can help you with those. This is your chance to get some one-on-one coaching, some one-on-one insights. So everybody is unmuted on my end. You're free to talk. Now it's in your court. Not everybody at once. Anybody have any comments on the bullet points that I mentioned? The idea of upselling, the idea of capturing email addresses, the idea of making sure that you're accurate, the idea of selling finishing touches. One that I'll add to that's important, and we talked about this in the previous webinar, it's what I will be doing when I'm waiting on customers next week. At some point toward the end of every transaction with a customer, whether it's face-to-face or whether it's on the phone, what I will always do, unless they're in a super, super rush or I get cut off, is I'll try to get an additional order. So I'll say to them, okay, we're all set with this order. While I have you on the phone, any other people that you want to remember this holiday, any other gifts that I can help you with this holiday. And surprisingly, that works pretty regularly. People will chime in and think for a moment. They'll say, yeah, you know what? There is somebody. Or, can you get flowers delivered out of town? Of course, I can help you with that. Great, because I want to send flowers to this one or that one. So it's a great opportunity to really just let a customer know of additional services that you can give them. All right, so let's hear from you. And I know everyone isn't doing a perfect job because we make these test calls and I hear the things that are missed. I hear some of the areas that we need to focus on. So I want to hear from you, the salespeople doing this, where you feel that you're running into a wall, where you need some help, where you want some guidance, where you want some pointers. That's the whole point of our time together this afternoon. Let's see, I've got a question that was typed in. I find myself struggling with my salesman voice. How do I ramp up my skills when selling add-ons? Let's see. Aaron, can you unmute yourself? I want to hear your sales voice.
Hi.
So what's your voice? Do you sound too mousy? Is that your concern?
No, maybe I worded this wrong. It's more not really my sales voice. Maybe, well, my manager says I have to present myself as a skilled employee in this area.
Right.
And I think I find myself, I don't know, doubting my skills. That it's hard to say. I've never worked in retail before, so it's hard.
Okay. What did you do prior to this?
I was just a college student.
Okay.
That's really all I did.
So I'm going to give you a double whammy. You ready? I'm going to give you the sales skill that you need, and we're going to wrap that up in a life lesson, because you can actually use this far beyond the flower shop. And I think that maybe the manager didn't properly articulate or didn't know how to articulate what he or she was after, but I'm pretty sure I know where we need to go with this. And here is the issue. And you may not even be aware of this, but I encounter this pretty regularly, that inevitably or invariably we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot when we're waiting on customers, because we come across as being very sheepish and indecisive and unsure. And as a consumer, if you go into a store and you're asking somebody about anything, let's say you go into a Cricket store or a T-Mobile store or a Verizon store, and if the person, when you ask them questions about the phone, if they're saying, well, I think so, or I'm not sure, it doesn't instill any confidence. So here's the workaround, and this is the trick that I use with great success. Whenever I'm talking to a customer, the way that I treat it is I psych myself into acting like and thinking like I'm having breakfast at Denny's with my friends. And if you think about the tone and the pace and the cadence that you would use if you were hanging out at Denny's, basically you'd be talking to your friends probably like the same way I'm talking to you now, the way that we're talking back and forth, just kind of relaxed and comfortable. If you do that with customers, if you aspire to have to modulate your voice that way, it makes all the difference, because right away you come across as comfortable and confident. Not cocky, but comfortable and confident. And that's really what customers want. And as soon as you make somebody comfortable, then suddenly they're more willing to spend their money. They're more willing to take your advice. They're more willing to listen to your suggestions. They're more willing to spend bigger and better than they normally might have. So if you do that, I know that your manager will compliment you, where maybe he or she is giving you a some tough love now, and in turn you'll see the reaction with customers, because even when you're suggesting an item that you personally feel is at a high price point or that you wouldn't personally spend, when you use that approach and you present it as though you're having breakfast at Denny's, you're going to be startled, because the customer's response will be just a very simple, yeah, sure. They're like, okay, yeah, that sounds good, and you'll be blown away. So use that and let me know how it goes, because I think that will tackle the issue at hand for you. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. What about anybody else? Anyone else have anything that they either, I'll phrase it this way, a weakness that you find in yourself, or maybe one of your coworkers, and maybe I can point out a way to tackle that as well. What we also could do, somebody wants to put this all into play and let me test you out in real time, we can do some role playing. You can be the salesperson, you can be the customer, doesn't matter, but I want to make sure that everybody is comfortable heading into the holiday crunch, because as I just said, the more comfortable you are, the more comfortable customers are with spending their money, and that's really the name of the game here. So any brave takers on doing some role playing? No? All right. Well, I know that it's busy. I know that Christmas is picking up, but you logged on to this webinar, so I want to make sure that you get your money's worth. But I can't force you to talk, so we'll try this one last time. Anyone, any of all the shops, sign on today. Anyone have any questions, any comments? This is your opportunity, your one-on-one with your own personal sales coach to get some help. Going once. Okay, hold on. Aaron, I see that your hand is raised. Did you have another question or a comment? I've got you unmuted.
I just had a quick question.
Sure.
Whenever you had talked about the email addresses, do you believe, it was just something that I was thinking about, do you believe that it can be beneficial to create a system so that as soon as the delivery is made, they receive a notification that the delivery has reached where it was supposed to go? Do you find any benefit in that?
Yeah, actually most of the order entry technologies do that automatically. So what kind of technology do you use in your store? Do you know the name of the system?
We're on Florinex, I believe.
Okay. It should do that automatically, and that said, it could simply be that maybe you haven't turned that feature on. So I would double check to see if that feature is available, and if so, turn it on. And yeah, it's a huge benefit. People love it. And you know, if any of you like me have been doing your holiday shopping online, I think it's so cool to be able to order something and then get the emails with the embedded tracking number, and then it ports me right over to UPS, and I know exactly what's going on with the status of my package. And it's smart on their part, because what it does is it prevents me from clogging up their phone lines. So I'm not calling asking where's delivery. Their phone lines are open so they can take more orders. So the short answer is yes, it's a good thing. Your system should be able to do it. I wouldn't advocate trying to do it manually. It's going to kind of defeat the purpose, because it's going to take your time away from waiting on customers. But you should be able to give that service to customers. So I'm going to put that in your hands to check on that after today's session. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, you bunch of voyeurs. Got to get you talking more in 2014. So what we'll do is we'll wrap it up. I wish that we had more to cover, but I can't make it up. I need you to participate. So best of luck with the holidays. If over the next couple of weeks something comes up, you have a question, you have an issue, you all should have contact information on me, or you can get it from the manager or the owner of the store, and then I'll be happy to answer your questions. So have a great holiday, and we'll look forward to working closely with you even more next year. Thanks, everybody.